SuperTalk Mississippi media production. Pike County, here comes your morning show. Dave in the morning on 93.5 FM, SuperTalk Mississippi.
So now, understand, you're not going to dictate to me what I do and what I don't do, but I'm still the mayor, Mr. Brown.
None of this meeting is recorded. None by any parties. Correct?
No, sir, mine is recorded. I'm being accused.
Any contact.
Said I want to make it on record. I want the allegations in writing, or the accused, or on recording of this harassment.
And now, here's your host, Dave Hughes.
Good morning on a Thursday, and as you know, Thursday is not just Thursday here on the show. It is North Pike Thursday, brought to you by the folks at Selman's and Southwest Supply. And joining us in studio this morning for North Pike Thursday, a man who gets tired just watching the kids he coaches. I'm guessing, Coach. I'm guessing. Joe Taylor joins us. How are you?
All right. How you doing? Good morning. Good morning.
You are the track coach.
Yes, I am.
And let me start with this. It seems like a simple sport. You start here and you run there and do it quick. Thank you. But there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there?
Yes, it is. There's a whole lot more to it. I mean, you got to make sure perfect form, technique. So there's a lot more to it. It's not just come showing up and run. Many students think that it's just running only because you have your jumping and you have your throwing. So you do have those events also.
Now, we've seen the Summer Olympics. We see all of the things. We don't do the hammer throw, do we?
No, we don't. We don't do the hammer throw, nor do we do the javelin. Now, Louisiana, they do the javelin.
Really?
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and I have gone to Louisiana and let students, let some of my athletes compete in the javelin. Now, of course, they didn't know what they were doing, but they tried it.
It's hard to practice here.
Yeah, it's hard to practice here when you're not allowed to use them.
And track is one of those things. I mean, the running part, even the jumping part, possibly they can work on at home in the backyard.
They can work on it at home at the backyard if they do it correctly.
Well, that's the trick that I was getting to. You mentioned form. If you don't have the proper form, especially with a lot of these events in track, you could injure yourself and it's over.
Oh, yes, you can. If you're not using the correct form, you can injure yourself. There are many that think, just his legs are moving really, really, really fast. But sometimes if your legs are moving fast, you're not going anywhere. You got to make sure you add that stride to it. He's really fast, but the legs, he's taking those short strides. So longer strides, then you're looking at a better time.
Well, and I think maybe that contributes to something I've noticed watching track. The ones that are really fast, the ones that are just always out in front, almost look like they're loping along. I mean, they're doing it quickly, but it's not those little short, fast machine gun strides. It's those big, long strides, and it's like a giraffe going across the field.
That's right. Because I try to explain it to him this. You're taking 2 steps to my 1. Who do you think is going to hit the finish line first? You will. Because I'm taking 1 step, and then every 1 step you're taking 2. Yeah. Or I will. I'm sorry, because if I'm taking 1 step and you're taking 2 steps, then I'm going to make it to the finish line before you.
If you're taking 2 steps for the other guy's 1, you literally have to run twice as fast as he is. Just to keep up.
Just to keep up.
And that's a big deal. Now, does that mean that people with short legs have a disadvantage?
Yes, they do. They do have a disadvantage.
I was expecting you to kind of go, well, not necessarily.
Then you're looking at it with the short legs. They really have to have a fast turnover rate when they'll run. I mean, they really would have to have a fast turnover rate.
But even in their case, even if you got little short stubby legs, you still want as long of a stride as you can get.
You do. And that stride comes in handy when you're doing long jump and triple jump also. You have to have those strides, especially in triple jump, to get a longer distance in your jump.
And you may not even know this. I may be putting you on the spot. I'm sorry in advance if I am, but where did triple jump come from?
Oh,
if we're going to jump, let's jump.
You know, that maybe I need to look into the history of that and see.
Yeah, I've always
I remember when
that.
I first did it in high school, and I enjoyed it. It's really, a fun activity. It really is. I remember I put several athletes in, especially young ladies, and they said, "Oh man, this is fun. I wish I should have started doing this at the beginning." You know, it's really a fun event.
Well, and really, if you look at it, this goes back to what we were just talking about with running and everything else, because to me, from the outside looking in, I'm about as athletic as a duck, so I'm not once going to be able to give a personal experience here. But it just seems like those first two quote-unquote jumps are just really, really, really long strides.
They are. I mean, I explain to the kids this way. First one, just give me a stride or a bounding step. All right. Then I want a long hop. All right. And then jump into the sand. That's what I want. And I usually explain it to them like it's more like a skip.
Yeah.
It's more like a skip. All right. Let me see you do a skip. And most kids have problem doing skips these days. But so once they learn how to skip, you can actually learn how to do the triple jump.
They haven't been out there with chalk drawn on the sidewalk.
No, they haven't.
That's the problem, right?
No, they haven't.
And that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
But I'm sure you very quickly whip them into shape.
It doesn't take long.
Yes. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of mechanics that go into all of the various events, and not all of them necessarily carry over, like we were talking about javelin earlier, even though we don't do it.
With the speed part, it does, because, if you look at anything because with the javelin, with the shot put, and with the discus, you're using different forms or different techniques, but the speed part of it does help. I mean, because you can use some of the same type drills with the sprinting. For example, you can use the medicine ball to use it with speed throws, and it also helps out with sprinting. All right, because you're using the weight of the ball, using the speed as which you release the ball, so all of it all coincides together.
And boy, does that go back to what we were talking about with, if you don't have the right form, you can mess yourself up.
Yes, you can. You can. Right, you can. You need that form. If you're not, and another example of that, if you're not stepping correctly when you run, if you step wrong and you're not using the right form, you can injure yourself.
Now, are you talking about the way you move your legs, or are you talking about foot placement?
Foot placement.
Foot placement, yeah.
Right, foot placement. Because some don't realize when foot placement, when you come down, it has to be directly under that hip. It's not way out in front of you, and that's what I'm looking at. So you have to learn that form or that technique and make sure you bring that foot down in the correct place.
And not only for injuries, but I would think if your foot's hitting the ground way out in front of your hip, you're going to get off balance.
You're going to get off balance
very easily, and then you got a major problem.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Apparently, I know more about this than I thought I did. It's called guessing, kids, and paying attention to the conversation is all it is. Now, how's the season going this year?
Season's going well. We're almost to the end. We're finishing up our last regular season track meet tomorrow. We'll be in Jackson, Louisiana, at East Feliciana High School. Next week, we start our regionals. We'll be at Brookhaven, Mississippi, Brookhaven High School next week, and then South State and North and State Championships. So we're looking at 3 more weeks. So, but it's been going well. I'm a young team. They've come a long ways. And they're improving every week. Every week they're improving.
Now, you and I were talking before we went on the air. And you just said you got a young team.
Yes, sir.
Which has advantages and disadvantages.
Has advantages and disadvantages.
The big advantages will come in about 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's when that kicks in.
And that's what I'm waiting on.
That's when you look back and go, man, I'm glad I had a young team. But before you get there, it does have advantages and disadvantages. But in the long run, this is all part of growth, and it's part of the game. You got a new team every year because of graduation, no matter what.
Because of graduation. I think this year I have, as far as girls, 2 seniors. I have a lot of 9th and 10th graders and a couple 8th graders.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's the same way with the boys. With the boys, I think I have 3 seniors with the boys. And so, young team, and everything's coming together with it. I think that, like I said, in the next couple of years, we'll see. You'll look back and say, "Oh man, this is totally different team from 2 years ago." So I can't wait to see it.
That's going through the learning process.
Going through the learning process
and maturing,
and maturing. Well. That's right.
Because track, all of these events that we're talking about take a lot of focus. A lot of dedication.
Yes, it does.
It's not something you just walk out there and go, I can run fast, I'm good. No.
I think some thought that, and saying, this is going to be easy. Now, track, you work just as well as any sport. You have to work at it. You have to work at it to get good. You have to work at it to get fast. You have to work at it. I mean, if you want to be an elite athlete, you have to work at it. You just can't show up and do it.
You always have holdovers, but every new batch of kids, every year, you have some new kids. Mm-hmm. Some years more than others.
Right.
How big are the differences? How big of an adjustment is it for you from year to year with the new kids coming in? Because I don't know if anybody's noticed, forget the generational differences. It seems like every year we got a whole new attitude, a whole new mindset that seems to come along. When it comes to the kids and their approach on life and the way they look at things. How big of an adjustment is it for you?
Well, this is a big adjustment for the coaches because, like you said, every year it looks like the students are different. It's like I mentioned earlier, sometimes when we have our rules and our guidelines, the new students coming in, you look at and say, I need to add another rule in for this set of students, so they come in with different outlooks of way things should be. So we have to make sure that we're ready for that. We have to make sure we're ready to change our rules or add to it or whatever. Even with our practice plans, I've noticed this year the biggest problem for us this year has been when we have students now that we have a lot of students that get out early and they're working. So there's more and more students now that have jobs. And so that makes it hard for sports. That makes it hard for me, I know, because, I can't make it to practice day because I have to work or I got called in early. All right. And so we have to either make change or say, or make a decision. Well, can you help this team? Because now you're not here most of the time and we need you here at all times. So we have to adjust to whatever comes up with the students.
And I dare say 20 years ago, that wasn't a problem.
That wasn't a problem, no.
But that's how everything changing affects everything else.
Yes, it does.
Including something like high school athletics that you wouldn't necessarily think of. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. More students now are working, so that makes it hard for sports.
Well, you're doing a good job. I am very impressed with you because you have all of your hair. You haven't pulled it out.
I haven't pulled it out. No.
Very proud of you.
But I think it's getting whiter and whiter though. But
you see this, right? Trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about. But coaching and working with kids and everything else kind of bring that out in you a little bit.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I love it. I look back years ago. I remember when my brother said, you ought to become a teacher. I said, man, are you crazy? I know how I was. I mean, what? But I love it. I mean, I've enjoyed it all these years and I pray God allows me to continue to do it.
Just on a side note before we go, I will eventually let you go, unless you don't want to go back because
I know they can't wait to get me back in class.
That wasn't the question, Coach. I caught you on that dodge there. But in addition to track, you teach math.
Yes, I do. Algebra 1.
How's that going?
Oh, that's going great. I mean, I love math. I've loved math, man, since I was in school. So I've always loved math. I enjoy doing it. I don't know whether the students enjoy me doing it, but but I love teaching math.
Well, there's something so satisfying about dealing with something that as long as you do everything the right way, it's 100% guaranteed to come out right.
Yeah. And that's something I've noticed too. You know, you mentioned that. I've noticed that most coaches that I talk to, a lot of them are math teachers. Most track coaches are math teachers.
Really?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Most of those that I've talked to.
That's interesting. I would not have drawn that comparison, but that kind of makes sense.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, the angles you have to jump, or the distances, and everything's being measured.
Yeah. Hey, well, there's a lot of physics. I mean, we started out talking about stride length.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're going to have a quick quadratic equation.
Before you know it.
A little cheer right before you go out to compete. So you're competing again next meet tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, that's correct. Yep.
Tomorrow down in Louisiana.
Louisiana would be at East Feliciana High School. Jackson, Louisiana that's where we'll be at tomorrow. And then next week we have our regionals at Brookhaven High School next Thursday.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, good luck. Have a great meet season in terms of the playoffs, in terms of the regionals and the states and the nationals and the Olympics. I'm just assuming you're going everywhere, Coach. That's the best way to do it. I appreciate you taking the time to come over here.
Thank you for having me to be here. Thank you.
Anytime. You are welcome back anytime, my friend. Joe Taylor, track coach at North Pike High School. North Pike Thursday, brought to you by the folks at Southwest Supply and Selman's Jewelers. We continue on this Thursday morning right after this. Keep it here.
Southwest Supply Company is your local source for supplying your office, restaurant, concession stand, or household, cleaning and janitorial supplies, food service items, and more. We're proud to be able to deliver all of your office supplies, office furniture, and business machines. Call 601-684-5521 or visit us at 1036 Gordon Covington Road in Summit. Southwest Supply Company, delivering weekly to Macomb, Brookhaven, and surrounding areas.
Every now and then, we remind all of you loving, awesome, hardworking husbands that you have a premium it's time to renew. No, it's not life insurance, car insurance, or health insurance. It's way more important than those. I'm Kristen. Gentlemen, it's time to renew those long-term wife insurance policies. When you surprise her with a gift from Selman's, you remind her that no matter what lies ahead, you and she will get through it together. Your gift tells her this long-term wife insurance policy is for life. Renew your long-term wife insurance policy right here at Selman's. We're in it for the long term with you.
Don't escape in the morning. Even when you miss it the first time, you can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. Super Talk 93.5 is always the place to be. Want to get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all around, it's all the Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the crave. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Weekday mornings at 6 after 9 on 93.5 FM, or you can catch up anytime by going to
SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Dave in the morning at SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. Catch up and catch on.
Morning to feel the day break on my face. There's a blood that's flowing through the feeling with a knife to
Welcome back. SuperTalk, Mississippi, Pike County, 93.5. Thursday morning, Dave Hughes here. Thanks to Coach Taylor for coming in. Always enjoy having him in here. He's a great guy. He really is. Has this been a week or is it just me? I realize it's only Thursday. We still have a Friday to go. But holy cow. Every time we turn around, there's something else going on, something else happening, and not all of it good necessarily. We had the news broke yesterday that Jay Wilson was arrested and apparently allegedly embezzled some money. Literally every 5 minutes this week, you turn around and something else just explodes out of nowhere. We've had car chases. We've had shootings at Sonic and Monticello. We've had, I don't know if you heard about this, the restaurant down in Magnolia, the patio, it caught on fire. I mean, it's been that kind of week. The fire was reportedly inside the walls. You couldn't see any of the flames until they opened the wall up. It was just smoke. A lot of smoke, but it was just smoke. So it has been one of those kinds of weeks. And then just to top it off, I just wanted to briefly mention this. Somebody that a lot of folks have known in Macomb, Bobby Darville passed away. You know what shocked me? I didn't realize this. He was 95. That's a good run. Which is what a good man deserved, was a good run, and Bobby was a good man. I was in my high school class, included his daughter. Great family, wonderful man, and he will be missed. But we had Tommy Wallman that passed away. Like I said, it's been that kind of week. I'm ready for the weekend. I don't know about you. Weekend's going to be nice. Going to treat us well. I've got all the faith in the world. Let's go back now to the audio from Tuesday night's work session. Over 2.5 hours they sat there, by the way, talking. And before we do anything else, I want to pick up right where we left off yesterday. We got done with audio where we found out that the mayor doesn't have 3 friends that'll do him a favor. I'm sorry, I can't think of any other way to put it. He said he asked 40 different people to serve as an election inspector so we could actually have a general election in Macomb, and they all said no. So now he's asking for help. What do you think, by the way? If there aren't, I feel confident, even though I couldn't find it in the charter, couldn't find it anywhere else, I feel confident you kind of have to be, have some requirements to serve in that position, I would think. Right? On the other hand, I'm taking bids for how much I'm offered to call and volunteer. But that's a separate issue because that led into a discussion. The mayor, as you heard yesterday, talked about the fact that we don't have early voting, we have absentee voting, which sounds like the same thing, but it is not. Early voting is you just show up and vote. Absentee voting, you have to have a good reason. You have to have a qualifying reason to cast your ballot early. Well, they went over that Tuesday night, and I want to cover that because we are in absentee ballot season. This isn't talked about very often. I want to make sure we give some coverage to this before we go back to the water issues. We're going to talk about that too. Here was the conversation about absentee voting.
And we are set up, city clerk, set up for absentee voting. So please, if you qualify. There are some stipulations as to how you qualify for absentee voting, but she handles that. But I just want you to know that we do not have early voting in the state of Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so really glad to hear absentee voting is open. Can we hear what the criteria is to be able to absentee vote? I know. You have it in front of you?
No, I don't, but if you want me to come down, I'll exactly show you. What'd you say?
I love how at first glance, when Selectman Cotting asked that, and everybody, including the board attorney, goes, I'm going to have to look that up. That on the face of it, if you don't understand, that sounds like, wow, you're just not, how do you not know that? Nobody is going to know the list of 16 different qualifications you can show to absentee vote. So that's actually an honest, legitimate reaction to that, I think. But here we go.
He's going to pull it up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's important that everyone knows. I know we don't have early voting, but in the state of Mississippi, there's a lot of reasons you can absentee vote.
Yes.
One of them being like over 65, which seems to be a good population of this town. Respectfully.
Oh, it's fine. And disabled.
And or.
And you can be disabled. That's a good reason.
Oh, 65 or disabled.
If you're in the military.
A qualified, let me just write. I'm reading from the Secretary of State. Any qualified elector who is a bona fide student, teacher, or administrator of any college, university, junior college, high school, whose studies or employment at such institution necessitates their absence from the municipality on voting day. Any qualified elector who is required to be away from his or her place of residence on any election day due to his or her employment as an employee of the Mississippi Congressional Delegation and the spouse or dependent, blah, blah, blah. Any qualified elector who is away from his or her residence within the municipality on election day for any reason. Any person who has temporary or permanent physical disability.
I want to make sure you catch that one. We've got a specific one. If your studies at college or your work requires you to not be home, to be away from your residence on election day, you can vote absentee. The very next one is, if you're not going to be at your residence, you can vote absentee. I'm not going to be home that day. All right, here's your ballot. That's literally in there. Listen to her.
Any qualified elector who is away from his or her residence within the municipality on election day for any reason. Any person who has temporary or permanent physical disability who, because of such disability, is unable to vote in person without substantial hardship to himself, herself, or others. The parent spouse, or dependent of a person with a temporary or permanent physical disability who is hospitalized outside of his or her residence within municipality or more than 50 miles distance from his or her residence. Any person who is 65 years of age or older, any member of the Mississippi Congressional Delegation absent from Mississippi on election day, and the spouse and dependents of such member of Congressional Delegation. Any qualified elector who will be unable to vote in person because he or she is required to be at work on election day during the times in which the polls will be open, or on call during the times when the polls will be open.
So that's the reasons. That's the stated reasons that you can give, according to the Secretary of State's office, to vote absentee. Two of them are if you're 65 or older. It was not and disabled. Disabled is a whole different category. If you're disabled, you can absentee vote. If you're 65 or older, you can absentee vote. If you're not going to be home for any reason, you can absentee vote. I'm going to be at the casino that day. So here's my ballot. I literally. I love how they give that one. And let me just make sure we make this clear. This isn't the city attorney. This isn't the city of Macomb. This is the state's rules for absentee voting. If you got to be away because of school, if you got to be away because of work, if you got to be away because you're an elected official, if you got to be away because any reason. I'm not sure why we have the specific reasons if we're also just going to throw in, if you're not going to be home for any reason at all. Well, that kind of covers everything, doesn't it? Just my thought on that. But just wanted to get that information out there because that's not something that gets a lot of coverage sometimes. And I wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to hear it. Now, let's go back to the water meter discussion. I mentioned something on Tuesday about some meters that were, I'm going to be charitable and say underbilling, which might be one of the biggest understatements of the year. And it's only April. Suleiman McKenzie brought this up, and they did have a discussion about this.
I'm going to jump to my next item. My bottom item here is like these 4 meters, Water Company of America, that somebody's not reading them right. They estimate there's $100,000 of revenue that hasn't come into this city on these 4 accounts in the last 3 months. Okay. Attorney, did you just tell us that we can't go back and try to collect?
I don't think you can because you have a city policy that says this is the minimum bill.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute. Before we go any further, before we get back to the fact that we still can't figure out how to read meters properly, that's the excuse we're getting here for specifically these 4 accounts that have not paid at least $100,000 into the city for water usage, according to the Water Company of America. You just heard Suleiman McKenzie say that. The board attorney, I'm trying to figure out the legal basis for this. You have a city policy that you have a minimum water amount. Did any of those 4 accounts just pay nothing? I'm just curious. Because if you didn't even pay the minimum amount, immediately you can go back and get it. I find it amazing that we're going to take as our stance legally that, well, yeah, we got a policy says you only have to pay a minimum amount. And, you haven't paid your full bill in a while. And the minimum amount by default is there if you don't go over the usage limits. But if you went over the usage limits, you owed more, but we can't come after you to collect that because we've got a policy that says there's a minimum amount. Why would anyone pay more than the minimum amount if that's the case? If you can't go back and bill someone in arrears for water usage, measured, verified water usage that they didn't pay for because they already paid the minimum amount, why would anyone ever pay more than the minimum amount if that's the truth, if that's the way that works? That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It just seems to me you pay for what you use. That doesn't sound like a complicated sentence, does it? Well, welcome to Macomb. Enjoy the snacks. Let's go back to the audio.
So our inability to read meters has probably cost the city over $1 million. I'm being very conservative. It's probably higher than that. I wish I could use that next time I owe a bill to a hospital. I don't want to pay it. I got a policy that, I don't pay hospital bills after 6 months. But
exactly my point. No one else on the planet operates that way. I just think we need to dig into that a little deeper because that just or bare minimum, policies can be easily changed. We've got a policy. It's carved in stone. It must never be adjusted. Bull. If you've got a policy that has a dumb enough loophole to allow people to never pay their water bill, maybe fix the policy. Just my thought. Or look at it and make sure that you understand how billing and collections work? Because this entire discussion, it doesn't sound like there's much understanding of that.
But they're getting free services. People are getting free services, and I'm subsidizing it, you're subsidizing it, you're subsidizing these free services in this city, like the Macomb Housing Authority, the Macomb School System. These are public entities getting free services, restaurants, car washes. It's a tax on the rest of us. It's an unfair tax. What Water Company America provided to me on this code from 21-27-7 says if a user's meter is tampered with, unreadable, or otherwise out of order, a municipality may render an estimated bill to the user for a period of not to exceed 6 months.
Okay, so at least 6 months worth of usage. And when you're talking about millions of gallons of water a month, that's going to be a significant amount in and of itself. And what he just said, he said Water Company of America, Slightman McKenzie said Water Company of America gave him that as a statute, I assume. That makes sense. That sounds logical. That is a compromise. They hadn't paid it in a year. Well, you can go get 6 months worth. Well, they're not happy. You're not happy. That's a compromise, which is kind of how the world works. I get that. 6 months worth is better than no months worth because we have a policy that we have a minimum amount for the bill. We don't care how much you use. Oopsie. No. The world does not work like that, no matter how desperately some people want it to.
In such circumstance, an estimated bill shall be based on the prior average measured usage of the user or similar user of the same classification. So I don't know if our city policy overrides state law.
It wouldn't.
Huh?
It wouldn't. Can you give me that?
Yeah, you can have that.
That would be great.
But,
thank you.
Before we go on to that, what I want us to vote on next week is for City Hall, City Administrator, City Clerk, whoever the person needs to be, to send a letter to these entities that have been the 32 meters that Louisiana Meter Company replaced, an estimated bill and a bill to these guys to pay the city back what they owe us. 6 months. To recoup some of it.
That sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Makes perfect sense to me. I'm going to go ahead. Hold on. Let me gotta polish up the crystal ball so I get a good image here. There's always this one spot right here that just is always smudged. I can't understand it. Looking into my crystal ball, Swami Dave is predicting that if, there's several ifs here, if the board votes on that next week, and if the board approves billing those water meter users for an estimated 6 months of usage that they didn't pay for, and if those bills and letters are actually sent, and if they open and read them, and if they respond at all, I told you there were a lot of ifs here, every one of them a critical point where the whole thing falls apart. If they respond, there is practically a 100% chance that at least one of them will respond with, "We can't pay this, we don't have the money." At which point you have to wonder, well, what'd you spend it on? If that was budgeted for water usage, which is fairly standard, and you didn't spend it on water usage, what'd you spend it on instead? So that's going to open a whole different can of worms and a whole different set of questions, but it won't have to do with the city because it's none of our business. You walk into City Hall and say, "I'm not going to be able to pay my water bill this month. I just don't have the money." Let me know how long it takes after cutoff day before you can no longer flush your toilet. We have a two-tiered system in the water department. We have for quite a while. Some people paying nothing. Some people paying the bare minimum when they're using millions of gallons. And then there's you, the voter, the taxpayer. You better pay every penny and you better pay it on time, or we're sending a guy around and he's going to walk into your yard and he's going to cut your water off. We can't stand for this unless it's, specific people. That's the infuriating part of this. The easy way to deal with it, now that you've caught the years-long problems that we've been dealing with the water system in Macomb, fix it so that everyone pays their bill. And if they don't pay their bill, everyone gets treated the same. If the rule is if you don't pay your bill, your water gets cut off, well, if they don't pay the bill, I don't care who they are, the water gets cut off. I don't want to use that rules for thee and not for me expression, because I'm not really sure it applies here, but boy, the flavor of it just seems to permeate it. It seems to be reeking of, well, either favoritism or incompetence. I'm not sure which one. I don't have the data, but definitely one or the other. Who knows? Might be both. It's been a busy week. We could cram two things in, right? We continue on this Thursday morning right after this on SuperTalk, Mississippi Pike County 93.5.
Every now and then, we remind all of you loving, awesome, hardworking husbands that you have a premium it's time to renew. No, it's not life insurance, car insurance, or health insurance. It's way more important than those. I'm Kristen. Gentlemen, it's time to renew those long-term wife insurance policies. When you surprise her with a gift from Selman's, you remind her that no matter what lies ahead, you and she will get through it together. Your gift tells her this long-term wife insurance policy is for life. Renew your long-term wife insurance policy right here at Selman's. We're in it for the long term with you.
Don't miss Dave in the morning. Even when you miss it the first time, you can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. SuperTalk 93.5 is always the place to be. Wanna get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the crave. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
Dave Hughes here. Remember, every weekday morning at 9:06, it's Dave in the Morning, where we solve the problems of the world, or at least complain about them really loudly and sarcastically. And if you miss out, you can catch up with the podcast version of Dave in the Morning at SuperTalkPikeCounty.com.
I'm alright, nobody but about me. Why you got to give me a fight? Can't you just let it be? I'm alright, don't nobody but about me. You got to give me a fight. Why don't you just let me be? Do what you like, do it naturally. But if it's too easy, you're gonna disagree. It's your life, isn't it a mystery?
Welcome back. SuperTalk, Mississippi Pike County 93.5. Dave Hughes here. Mo says, being away from home and over 65 is how I voted absentee this year. You were double qualified, Mose. Either of those would have done it, according to the official list they gave at the Macomb City Board meeting Tuesday night. If you're over 65, you can absentee vote. If you're just not going to be home that day, there's a good movie you're going to go catch. You're going to the beach. You got to go to the tanning salon, whatever. You qualify and you can vote absentee. Because it specifically says if you're going to be away from your residence on election day for any reason. I'm telling you, if they ask you for a reason, I'd give them a ridiculous one just to see what happened. But then again, you're aware of this. I know you are. You and I have been hanging out for a while. I'm a jerk. So I would do that. I got a poodle knitting class I got to go to. So you take two poodles and knit them together, and then you watch them try to untangle. It's a lot of fun. There's drinking. Yeah, it's something. Just come up with something ridiculous like that just to see what they say and to see if they write it down. Mose also had a question yesterday. Do the people running the election get paid? Could the mayor get the circuit clerk and staff to run the election? I believe they're unpaid positions, the election inspectors outlined in the city charter. And again, the problem is circuit clerk and the staff, they would have to agree to do it. They might not. That may have been some of those 40 people that the mayor talked to, who all apparently, he ran the table across the board, talked to 40 people, asked 40 people for help, and 40 people told him no. That's not a good batting average. I just want to point it out for you there. I thought it was interesting. I saw something. Barry Boyd, I talk about it all the time, posts some fantastic things on Facebook. A lot of them screenshots of the Enterprise Journal, various things. He posted a picture. This wasn't that long ago, but he posted a picture of the front page of the Enterprise Journal from January 2nd, 2000. It's like, 6, 7 stories on the front page. Pretty much all of them were about Y2K and how nothing happened. That feels like just a couple of years back, in a way. But at the same time, that was over 26 years ago that everybody was freaking out. And it wasn't just, other places. No, there were concerns here, right here in Pike County in southwest Mississippi. People were concerned everywhere that at midnight, going into New Year's Day 2000, the computers would not be able to compute rolling over to the year 2000 and everything was shut down. There would be chaos. There would be tumbleweeds. Cattle would be dying. It would be horrible. It would be an alien incursion coming down going, you didn't even get the date right, and then leaving. And of course, none of that happened. And it made me think of something. It made me, it gave me a little perspective that I don't think we spend enough time considering. If you remember that time, this was a big discussion. This was a big thing. It was on the news every night. You heard about it continuously. We didn't really have social media like we have now, but the regular media was eat up with it. The Enterprise Journal on January 2nd, and very appropriately for the time, the entire front page was Y2K stories and how nothing happened, how this agency stayed up till 2 a.m. watching the computer just to make sure. By the way, you should always watch your computer suspiciously. Have you seen what those things get up to? Right. But the entire front page was covered with it. This was an area of enormous concern, not only all across America, but right here in Pike County, Mississippi. What I would like you to do, what I would like you to consider, spend a little time, if you're looking for something fun, nice little hobby activity while you're out of the house on voting day. I want you to look at the headlines today and tell me which ones aren't going to matter and be somewhat comically quaint 25, 26 years from now. We're going to look back and go, we were worried about that? Because here's the thing. This little game I'm proposing is not a zero answer game. That's going to be the initial reaction. No, it's all important. Every last thing, all of it's important. Stress. That's going to be the reaction from quite a few folks. That was the reaction from a whole bunch of folks back in 2000. And they were all wrong. There is a zero chance that something in the headlines, whatever it may be, something that everyone talks about and is worried about and is stressed over, won't matter in 25 years. We'll look back again and just kind of chuckle and go, wow, we were worried about that? Really? There's something in the headlines right now. There's something in the headlines every day that fits that qualification. So your fun activity, your fun game, go through the headlines and find the story that is useless panic mongering. Shouldn't be too hard. We live in a target-rich environment for that game.
If you cry out for more, if you reach out for me,
The nature of the culture right now.
just to keep you here.
Well, time to pull the plug and drain the tub. We're going to do that when we come back. Right here on SuperTalk, Mississippi, Pike County 93.5. Keep it here.
Let me take a step towards you. Let me feel you in my hands. Let me cross this line and show you where it leads.
Every now and then, we remind all of you loving, awesome, hardworking husbands that you have a premium it's time to renew. No, it's not life insurance, car insurance, or health insurance. It's way more important than those. I'm Kristen. Gentlemen, it's time to renew those long-term wife insurance policies. When you surprise her with a gift from Selman's, you remind her that no matter what lies ahead, you and she will get through it together. Your gift tells her this long-term wife insurance policy is for life. Renew your long-term wife insurance policy right here at Selman's. We're in it for the long term with you.
Don't miss Dave in the morning, even when you miss it the first time. You can catch it on the podcast. Missing out would be a crime. SuperTalk 93.5 is always the place to be. Wanna get the podcast version? Here, my friend, is the key. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page. Dave in the morning, late at night, or anytime you have the break. SuperTalkPikeCounty.com. It's all there and it's all the rage. Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, or just right there on the page.
That will do it for today.
Closing time.
As you know, tomorrow, Robbie Hamilton and his pack of well-behaved hooligans will be in here for Chasing Foul Balls. Always a great time at 9:06. Before that, I'm in the big chair with Lance for mornings. Do that tomorrow starting at 6:06 on Super Talk, Mississippi. My friend, I'll see you then.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.